What's up? So this is a Star Wars Endgame update, and it is 11:38 in the morning. It's almost noon, high noon, time for a gunfight. So I worked on it last night for a total of 4 hours and 48 minutes, from 21:01 p.m. to 1:48 a.m. And I finished 4.1. So 4.1 is ready to read. I am at 35 pages typed with 14,361 words. So, damn good start. So, what I worked on in that 4 hour block was wrapping up Trinity's memory flashback, and also um, the dinner party for Eve, Trinity, Jade, Serenity, Trisha Angel, and the Maverick twins, and Stick. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really got through that, and I'm glad that's done. Like, fuck. I mean, it was really challenging to work on that because I had to work on the dynamics of time progression and shit, which really irritated me, but it was also digging into their feelings as well, which is something I do really well, but it was particularly challenging in that aspect. And also, what else was hard about that? Jumping around with everybody and giving new dynamics to Rick's former gang, and also expanding on Rick's death as well. But, like, in terms of his death, because he died in Redemption, so going back to that, Eve doesn't know how he died. Trinity doesn't know how he died, and the gang doesn't know how he died. And one of the things that Eve discovered through that whole, well, actually, no, let me go back to Trinity. Well, actually, yeah, one of the things Eve discovered was that Rick was colorblind. She never knew that about him because he was so secretive and he was such a hard ass about everything. Like, he had a hard ass attitude. That's just who he was. Who he was. He was a dick. And man, that's better. A little scab on my foot irritating me. Um, yeah, she found out he was colorblind, and that put her into a crying fit because she didn't even know that about him, and they'd been married for a couple hundred years, I'd say, give or take. I got to really think about how long they've been married for. Like I say, when I write, I write on the go. I don't have any set plans or a Venn diagram or a spider web or a dry erase board full of thoughts and shit that I've constantly scribbled out and stuff. And I just write on the fucking go. Everything that pops up, I write down. So yeah, that really, that set her off because she thought she was done feeling anything for him, and boom, she felt something for him again. Now, going back to Trinity with her flashbacks, snap, foot was tingling. Yeah, her flashback was her time on Jaga, basically, moving back home after a very bad breakup, in a sense, with Brock, and then, learning, how to cope without being with him anymore, without him anymore, because, as I mentioned before, Brock threw himself into work for 6 months, which I had to fix in the story, actually, because that was so fucked up. And I didn't mention that before, and I was like, shit. So I went back and fixed that. So he threw himself into work for 6 months right after breaking up with her. And, like, she forced Well, he forced the breakup, but she made it permanent in a sense. And her whole thing during this whole time is that, does he even still love me after 7 years being apart, you know? And as I've already mentioned before, you know, Naomi and Brock are together now, so I doubt, I don't know what'll happen, honestly. I'm just waiting for it to unfold for me. um, Another big thing was that the gang themselves wanted Trinity as their leader, and she didn't want to be a leader. She had no urge to be a leader whatsoever because she just wanted left the fuck alone. She just wanted to, you know, basically be a hermit, I guess. I haven't really like gotten that far with her yet, but I'm getting there. Because that's the one thing that I love about rewriting Endgame is that it's completely uncharted territory for me. It is totally uncharted territory. I still feel weird about writing it, but I'm glad I'm writing it. So, I mean, there's a plus side to it. Um, what else was there? Oh, with her not wanting to be a leader, she like reluctantly accepted that after, like, I'm trying to think. Like at first, Jade approached her about it, and Jade didn't talk one. Somebody's walking across the street. Yeah, Jade didn't speak a lick of basic at all. She stuck to pure Western jargon. And she started to speak heavily accented basic. And that threw her off in the past because it was one of those things where she totally didn't expect that. And then later, like months later, um, Serenity tried to seduce her, and she wasn't having that. So, yeah, she kicked her out of her cabin for that shit. That was funny. And then it turned into. She tried to ignore because the thing was with Trinity, she wanted to be asexual. Honestly, like she wanted nothing to do with feelings. She didn't want to have any kind of passion or any love or anything in her life. She just wanted to be left alone and, you know, basically be nomadic in a sense. So a week went by after she'd been tried to have been seduced, and she literally stalked off to their cabins in the forest and was dead set on cutting them down. And what made her not cut them down was the fact of how the whole pack, basically the wolf pack, that's what I call them, the wolf pack, because they have that pack mentality. And the pack, if you've been, I'm trying to think like the best pack mentality to compare to. If you served in the army and stuff and you've had your squad, that kind of mentality. That's what I'm talking about. Like, you know each other without even having to say a fucking word, you know? That kind of shit. And that's what they had. You know, Rick was their leader, and Rick is dead now. And they're basically leaderless, and they don't know how. They have their individuality, obviously, but they don't know where to go from there. And they're in a deep sorrow over this. And one of the reasons why they handpicked Trinity over Eve for leadership, because they wanted Eve at first, but Eve was too strong-willed and wanted no parts of that. She just wanted Rick to herself. And Rick didn't like being in a singular relationship. So they picked Trinity because, well, she's strong-willed, but also she challenged all of them back in Redemption of the Phoenix. What was that fight? When Rick challenged Lucius on Jaga, and it was like round two, I think. Yeah, it was a round two fight, and like she stood toe to toe with them and whatnot, and forever is like she's 5'5". Trinity is 5'5". Uh, blonde hair. Oh, that's right. Her hair changed too. I had the issue with her fucking hair. Oh man, it was so pain in my ass. Because when I change characters, that shit irritates me. Because I'm so used to what I have them looking like originally in my head, and I'm like, oh, let me change it. So she is like 5'5", about maybe one. Fuck off. Maybe like 130 lean, and basically, athletically built, but lanky-ish at the same time. And she's standing toe to toe with people that are taller than her in like the 6 foot range and stuff. So they got like half a foot to a foot and a half over her. And like she went toe to toe with them, and they respect that because they saw the warrior prowess that she has, and they wanted that in her because that they see it as a sign of strength, and that's what they go based on. And it was so, she was so upset and so angry. Because she was mad, she was turned on, she was frustrated, she didn't know how to handle her feelings, and Serenity broke them down easy by saying, what happened wasn't your fault. And that was in reference to her breakup with Brock and her current circumstances, and she just broke down. And once she got in bed with them, and they all sat around her in a little small semicircle, and they literally told her that's why they wanted her to be their leader. And it was such a deep moment, and that led to her first experience with group sex. And for me, like, that was important. It wasn't just like thrown in there to be like, ooh, erotic, ooh. Like, no, it reminded me of Sense8. I love that series. That was such a good series. And how they were, communicated that way. That was amazing. That's what I applied that to. And I loved that dynamic. So I put that in there for her. So it was a way of her healing not only her feelings, emotions, and body, but also as a mental reset as well. She went through so much, and she really grew as a person. Like, she really evolved from, falling out of love with Brock, learning to unlove Brock, to falling back in love with Brock, then, having a vicious breakup, well, sort of a vicious breakup, after the war was over. And now she's, leader of the pack, basically. And it was it's really beautiful the way it flowed out. I loved it. It was so good. But yeah, like it flowed so good. But yeah, I love that a lot. And it was nice to make the pack less threatening than they were previously. And I also alluded to a lot of back history as well. And a lot of that back history I'll be exploring in the dark side ending of the story. So, or I might do some in this. I don't know yet. I haven't really figured it out. I'm still trying to, find my footing. Basically, like the story has taken off all on its own, and me, I'm just trying to fucking find my own footing as I'm going. Like it's so crazy. It's one of those where I don't have the rhythm. Like I'll listen to my music while I'm writing, and the music and the writing are like water and oil. They aren't mixing and meshing the way they used to, and it's frustrating for me. It's like, so that's where I'm at with it. But I'm happy I got 4-1 done. I wanted to get at least like 30 something pages done and then post. That way I have, good head start. So that's what I got. I'll put the link in the box so you can check that shit out. Reviews are welcome. I do want some critiquing. I love critiques. It helps me grow as a writer. And it helps me to hone my craft too. So, yeah, I'll be back with another video because I actually had a good week this week for a change. I'll tell you why. Stay tuned.